Grizzly. At Grizzly, we believe charging your electric vehicle should be simple, reliable, and affordable. That's why we design, engineer, and build our chargers in Canada, ensuring top-tier quality and performance. Powered by United Chargers, every Grizzly model is crafted in-house, built to withstand extreme conditions, and tested for reliability. Recognized by leading publications for its performance and value, Grizzly delivers both durability and intelligence with heavy-duty aluminum enclosures, premium output cables, and smart charging features like scheduling, usage tracking, and OCPP compatibility with multiple charging apps. Grizzly. Simple, reliable, affordable, built for every climate, every EV, everywhere you go. Visit grizzly.com to learn more.
Hello and welcome to the Batteries Included podcast. Friday, September 5th, 2025, episode 104, into the hundreds now. On today's show, we're talking about the new BMW iX3. It raises the bar for range and charging. The Audi TT returns, sort of, as an Audi Concept C. And Tesla have a new way to make their cars safer using cameras, they say. And of course, much, much more. I'm your host, Martin Lee, from the EV News Daily podcast. And if you're new to the podcast over the summer, I'm the new guy. Let's see if I can remember how to do this. Joining us today in a minute will be Mr. Tom Malogany, the salubrious Mr. Tom Malogany, senior editor at Inside EVs and host of the YouTube channel State of Charge. He's on his way, I promise. We also have Dominic Yoni, longtime EV journalist and host of the YouTube channel Drive Electric with Dominic. So what did I miss?
Hey, Martin. Good to have you back. It's been a long time.
Back. I mean, I honestly, it is good to be back because I've been on childcare for, is it 6 or 7 weeks now? So many. I like building a Lego block as much as the next guy, but woo, I want to go back to work now and have some adult conversations. But there we go.
Right. So Tom's going to join us in a minute. So I thought we could maybe see if you've been up to any EV adventures. And I know you took a little vacation, so you probably went somewhere in your Polestar 2.
Absolutely.
I don't know. Did pull a trailer across up to? Did you go to Scotland?
Which
is, I guess, far for you.
We didn't get the trailer out this time. We took the trailer to Centre Parks over Easter. This time, managed to get it all inside the Polestar, making very clever use of the ski hatch in the back to stick a cot bed for our 3-year-old through the middle of it. And otherwise, yeah, it took it all. But I was eyeing a Polestar 4, not the expensive one, a Polestar 4 with a roof box on holiday, and dreaming of maybe one day when they're used. But yeah, I've seen a few more Polestar 4s flying around. We'll be 2 years on that Polestar in January, so it's time for a change. And I think we're going to have to go for a van. So maybe we'll do a one-off edition. We'll bring back battery bargains, and you can just help me find a van, because there's a few choices. Van, electric, not just the Buzz. Europe. Yeah, not just the Buzz, the Stellantis vans, the Peugeots, Citroëns, Toyota rebadge one. That would be fun. I should buy a Toyota. I should drive a Toyota. And yeah, so we're going to have to go for a van because the kiddos are 3 and 7 now, and we came back from a lot of beach journeys over summer, and the Polestar is hey, it took a beating. So yeah, maybe the listeners could help me out.
I don't suppose you get the Nissan Sakura over there, right?
We don't get that, no.
That's like a K van. It's like from Japan, like the small vans, the minivans, they call them.
Yeah, okay. No, we need something bigger. Definitely something bigger than a K van. And fully signed up for that. Then, so we're going to go big van, small car, and then something just to go to the shops with that'll fit inside a space. So yeah, I think maybe the small car will be new, and we keep looking at small cars. And we've got so much choice over here. We should talk about that as well on the podcast at some point. So we've got small cars like the Dacia Spring in Europe and the Leapmotor T03. They're £14,000, but go a little bit more. Get to 20. And you are looking at vehicles like the Renault 5 and the Fiat Grande Panda and Citroën EC3. So look, some of them are really stylish, like the Renault and the Fiat. And for not massive money, you can get a really nice small EV. So I think we've got to do that. So yeah, thank you very much to everyone for giving me summer off and look after. My wife is a children's nurse. We don't really talk about what my family does here, but so her schedule is less flexible than mine, and so. Yeah, I have to take the afternoons off to look after the kiddos, which is where I've been. And I've missed you all. I've missed everyone in the comments. I've been watching along. Robert was an amazing guest. Holy moly. What else has happened? Tom's dad turned, was it 88 or something, and went EV, so on the same episode. So it's like, oh, wow, I've missed loads. But yeah, I've missed you guys. It's good to be back. I can't wait to see Tom as well. And loads of stuff happening in the world of EVs.
It's good to have you back. Usually, so I've been, doing what you're doing now for the last month or so. But so I haven't been able to do what I'm actually doing now is just like sharing all the comments on the screen and everything. And there were a ton of comments, and I kind of feel bad about missing them for over the past episodes because I really like having the audience up on screen with us, to as much as we can.
This show is as much about the audience, if not more, than what us idiots have to say about electric vehicles. We'll present the news, and the audience really chip in with far better, insightful comments than we do. So yeah, I love reading the comments. Just flicking through now, so good to see all some familiar names as well. Like I've missed you guys now. I have been back on EV News Daily, but it's not the same. It's with audio podcasts, it's really hard to give feedback. Whereas the YouTube, the live show, the live stream. Man, it's so fantastic to see all those regular names and some new names in there as well. So that's really nice.
Pete Breen says Tom's buying every available full-sized EV truck. He'll be in soon.
Yes. Cecil says, do you get the Chinese vans? No, we don't. And I know what you mean because there are some MPVs and some people movers. We do get one. I've seen it. It's really pricey. One of the new Chinese ones. What's it called?
Not the Lee. You don't get Lee over there, right?
Oh, no, nothing as nice as that. We do get quite a nice one. Is it a Maxus or one of the SAIC?
Oh, Max. I don't know. Is Maxus nice though? I never.
Is it
never really?
It's not called Mira. That's the testing ground. Somebody will know in the comments. We do get one.
Not the Kia PV5.
No, not yet. But funnily enough, I was only saying on my podcast today. EV estate cars, like they're coming thick and fast as well. Yeah, I keep seeing ID7. So one of the mums at my little girl's gymnastics, and she's so young, it's the gymnastics where the mums and dads join in. I say the mums and dads, I guess because of, I don't know, whatever. It's always the mums. So I've been taking her over the last few weeks, and I've been the only dad there, and I love it, and it's brilliant. And one of the mums has a black ID7. And it's really nice. I keep eyeing it up in the car park. It's a really lovely car. So yeah, an estate car. I love estates. And yeah, seeing more Kia EV9s and big family cars, but a lot of that out of the budget. So Pete says we get the Maxus. Yeah. So yeah, hey, and here he is. We've just been chit-chatting, Tom. We've not even got into the news yet.
Dominic, who's this stranger you're talking to?
The new
I don't
guy.
know. He just wandered into the studio, and I can't get rid of him.
I'm going to learn how to. I'm going to try and learn how to do this. So
welcome back, Martin.
Thank you so much. It's good.
Good to see you.
I love being
back.
back.
Had a nice summer.
Yeah, I literally did the basics over summer to just get the podcast out, and nothing more. So man, I've missed work like 3-4 hours a day, and then back to childcare. So boy, do I need just a day talking to adults.
Yeah, well, you won't find any here.
No, I know, but I'm still hopeful. So yeah, let's get into the news then. And we can't wait to see what sorry, Dom.
I was just there's crazy news this morning. I woke up and then like a bunch of headlines because I work putting the show together. You did some of that last night for us because. Right. But yeah, there's like crazy headlines this morning. And like, what is even happening right now? But I guess we should probably go in order of what we have.
Well, we'll start with the big car launch. But yes, one of the auto CEOs has been offered $1 trillion pay package. $1 billion blows my mind. How could you even spend $1 billion? Let alone 1,000 of those billions. I don't understand, but we'll talk about it. But let's get into a car launch, should we? Let's get into a car launch now. So IAA Munich Mobility Show is going to be on. Press day starts, is it Monday? And so we're going to get a bunch of cars to talk about, certainly this week and next week. One of those cars which the German automakers took to launch, that was BMW, has unveiled the iX3. iX3 Neue Klasse. Now, it was about a 27-minute presentation earlier today. Neue Klasse, of course, was the new class of vehicles that saved the business back in the day, and they're proud of it. I didn't do a Neue Klasse count on the stream. 27 minutes long. I reckon at least 80 Neue Klasses were dropped. Boy, are they proud of saying that phrase. This iX3 is an electric SUV. It is the same dimensions as a BMW X3, massive seller, purpose-built platform though. WLTP range, okay, European cycle. Brace yourselves, 500 miles WLTP. That's 800 kilometers. Well, when it gets EPA'd, it's going to be way over 400 by the time you do the calculation. Maybe not a lot more, but anyway. Does it charge quickly? Yes, 400 kilowatts, ultra-fast charging. And it's going to start at $60,000 when it comes to the US next summer. So, big boy battery, 108.7 kilowatt hours. Cylindrical cells. They're using the new 46XX. Different heights of cells according to the type of vehicle it goes in. So, 463 horsepower on the spec they released today, this morning on the live stream. Yeah, there'll be rear-wheel drive versions. Yeah, there'll be spicy versions and M versions. But this one is the all-wheel drive, 0 to 62 in 4.9 seconds. And big gains in energy density and cost efficiency over previous models. 6th gen BMW eDrive technology. And so that 400 kilowatt DC charging, what I loved, I smiled. It got I'm sure this will get the Malogany tick of approval. They gave the charging speed in miles per minute. So, which I love because it leans into the efficiency. It's so proud of efficiency. So here's the number for Tom, 230 miles in 10 minutes. It's not bad.
Yeah, when you can average over 20 miles a minute, that's fantastic. Fantastic. You know, I mean, many of the EVs out there today are averaging under 10 miles a minute. You know, in that 10 to 80% charging area. So that's amazing. Now, some of the good ones like Lucid and Taycan, Porsche vehicles, they're up around 20, you know, in the 20s, but not for the whole 10 to 80% charging session. This will be amazing to watch, you know, with the 400 kilowatt peak and so forth. So good on BMW. You know, you guys know I've been, I started out my EV, you know, I don't know if it was a career, but adventure with BMW and their program in the early days. And it was a lot of fun because I had a chance to peek behind the curtain when it was really just like a skunk works team of just trying to figure out, you know, what are we going to do here? You know, what do people want with an electric vehicle? You know, and how do we make it work? And I got to talk to all their engineers and everything. And I was so excited about it back then because they were all in on it. And I always believed that when BMW got serious about this, and you know, that they started to get serious, obviously, with the last generation. But when they really said, we're going to put our pedal to the metal on these, I believe that they could really create a fantastic EV. And with the Neue class, I think we're finally going to see that. So let's see. You know, so the iX, the vehicles they have out today are very good EVs. But I really think what we're going to see now is what BMW, you know, really, when they go all in on something, this is what we're going to see. So can't wait to drive one.
So they spent 10 billion euros on this platform. They first talked about this IAA in 2021, so 4 years ago to the day. They said, we're going to make a vehicle that's way more efficient, goes really far. We're going to reduce the cost of the battery. It's going to be super high tech and, you know, 800-volt platform. It's going to be amazing and big range. But everyone does that. Like, it's the job of a CEO is to rally the troops, get everyone in line behind her or him, and you know, march forward. And not all companies deliver on it, though. Do we need some more specs? I think we've got most of the specs, the like tech specs, out of the way. The cabin has a panoramic iDrive interface with advanced computing power. They call it the Heart of Joy supercomputer. Well, 4 of them, really, for core vehicle drive systems and safety. Production starts in the autumn, this fall, with European deliveries first, then US in 2026, and a China-specific version in development. xDrive 50 in the US, expected to start under $60,000. Here, £58,755 confirmed, launch price now. So this is, in terms of the 4-spoke steering wheel, very nice. In terms of the look of the vehicle, let's start on the outside. This looks to me, really conventional. This looks like a BMW iX3. If you had 3 of these and your next one happens to be electric, I think the faithful are going to be happy. Like the outside, and everyone complains about the kidney grille, and now they've made it tiny, and hopefully everyone's happy. It looks like chrome in the photos, but it's not chrome. They're all lights, by the way. So they're all the DRLs. Or they complement the daytime running lights. So that whole front end is not chrome. It's little LED lights. From the look, I like it.
Is it kind of wagony? It looks almost more wagon than SUV or crossover.
SAV in BMW parlance.
Right? Sports activity vehicle. Is that what they say?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I think this looks pretty good. I didn't know. It was hard to tell with the camouflage on it, but what it was going to actually look like. And I'm loving this. Really. I don't know. What do you think, Tom?
I to be honest, guys, I was a little late here today. Sorry about that. My
good.
morning I had to do a bunch of stuff, personal stuff, so I haven't had a chance. This is the first I'm actually seeing it. I didn't see it this morning yet.
Same here.
Yeah,
this is me.
yeah.
First time for me too. Yeah.
Yeah. So from what I'm seeing so far, I like it. I do want to see more of it, but fully check it out, and of course see it in person. We say so many times, you just get such a different feel for the vehicle when you're looking at it in person as opposed to on in pictures. But as Martin said, this looks very mainstream. It kind of I wouldn't say completely mainstream. It does have a little bit more of a futuristic look. Like you could see some of the iX styling kind of merged with a conventional BMW, I think, and in that smaller package. But this is almost what I would expect the conventional ICE, X3 next generation to look like anyway. It's like, look at the X3 now, and well, what would you envision the next generation of it looking like? And this is kind of right in that wheelhouse. So they didn't go out and make it look so funky, like they kind of stretched the design with the iX. You kind of knew that was separate from the rest of their vehicles, but this here will blend right in with the lineup, and that's what I think the companies really need to do. I think we're through in that era when the companies were making like EVs look like an EV, whatever that means, and now they're just regular customers coming in, retiring their current 3-year lease and saying, well, what else can I get into? And so, well, we've got this conventional ICE vehicle here, but we have this electric vehicle here. It shouldn't just scream I'm electric, because I don't think a lot of people want to drive a car that differentiates like that.
Yeah. Do they think? I'd love to know. I mean, because that 500 mile, 800 kilometer number on WLTP over here, like, it's so perfect because it smashes everything in the segment. Model Y, Audi Q6, it smashes everything at that price point. And I'd love to know whether they sat down and was like, let's make a 500 mile EV, or whether it kind of came together and they thought, actually, if we put like 2 more modules or something in, like, we'll get to that. Now, I'd like to, because it's such a perfect number that's the headline rightly that everyone's talking about. Because, did they sit down 4 years ago? Let's make a 800 kilometer in their, in Germany, range EV. I don't understand how you could need any more in a car. Like, that's it. It charges so quickly.
Yeah, it's done, and it looks, man. Yeah, that's the number. It just looks. The more I look at this, I'm like, I'd be so happy with one of these things. I think it's got all the distance, all the range you want. It's a bit quicker than my rear-wheel drive Model 3, but it's all-wheel drive. So I might have expected it to be a bit quicker than this, but that's 4.9 seconds, whatever, 0 to 60. That's plenty, I think. Especially if they have another, like a hotter version of this coming down the line eventually. It gives them some room to go, into the 3s with their 0 to 60s, whatever. But just look at like the screen, it's like not square, which I know it's kind of weird, and maybe it's funky. Maybe it won't be that great to use. I don't know, but I think it looks really cool, and it's kind of a nice, refreshing to see, an unexpected shape in the cabin like that, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, and Jim C commented that the spoke is weird at the 12 o'clock position. I think that's the angle of the camera, Jim, because I think if Dom, if you can go back to the picture, or Martin, where you see the steering wheel head on, it looks like the spoke on the top, like at 12 o'clock, is much longer than the one on at 6 o'clock. But I don't think that's the case. I think they're the same. I think because it does look weird if one of the spokes were like longer than the other, but I don't think that's the case. I think it's just the angle that the shot was taken at, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
We'll see if we have other angles where we could see, but it does look a little weird at that position, but I don't think that's how it's still looks a little bit longer still there, but it depends on where we take the angle. See if we can get a side picture of it. I'm just curious to see if we can get a better idea. There you go. See, I think.
Oh, yeah, it does look. Yeah, it makes more sense. It makes more sense.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Yeah, and you can see how it tapers out. It's not like you really can't tell straight on what the angle is. Like, I think it looks good there. It didn't look good in the straight on, picture like that.
Yeah.
It kind of looks does look a little weird there. You don't know really how angled they are, but now that we know how angled it is, you can see the bottom one. It goes back, more than it looked like in the picture than the top did. I'm not really communicating that well.
Yeah, no.
You know what I'm saying?
I thought you were kind of out of your mind there for a second until we got that side view, and it's like, oh, he's actually seeing.
Well, I am out of my mind, but beside the point.
It's a good look inside. It's that full screen that they've got is nice. They say it also projects a panoramic head-up display if you want it across the entire screen that everybody in the vehicle can see, presenting data and things that you would need, a virtual version of the world as well for the driver with directions and things like that. A truly software-defined vehicle with 4 supercomputers kind of looking after everything in the car. So of all the things, everything from the basics, which was, does it look nice and will people make jokes about the front of it, all the way through to the nerdy stuff that, you and I on this podcast, we really like to get into, like software-defined vehicles, which is not everybody's cup of tea. I'm with Tom. I think BMW have smashed it with this. They've not been quiet about it, though. They have been drip-feeding news for the last year, and they launched it today, and I think they've done it. And BMW's been hot and cold over the years. Depending on management, but stable management. The CEO's been with the business something like 34 years. He's been at the top a long time. If BMW feel like and their sales are going up as well, BMW's EV momentum is growing, just feels like they're in a really good place to launch a car that is... Nothing will match it on tech specs. It won't be cheap, but in its class, nothing comes close.
So let me ask you guys a question. What does this do to Rivian R2 sales?
I mean, they're very different vehicles, and this is a great competitor to the R2.
Are they
the
that different?
60 grand. I mean, 60 grand is right there.
Yeah, and that's kind of what the R2 is going to be, right? 50-ish. Starting,
they'll be head-to-head competitors.
Yeah, they're definitely competitors. Yeah.
A very different vibe. It's I feel like there's a very different vibe, and man, I don't know. I mean, BMW has really done a great job here. I'm not. I have to look at the R2 specs. It's been a while, but I don't think it's got 500 miles of range, or is it even 800 volt architecture on that?
Yeah, must be.
It is on the R2.
Must be.
Can't remember.
Greg says the R2 should be cheaper. Okay, no, I get that. I know, but it can't be that much cheaper because they got to make money out of the R2. Yeah. That's the vehicle that needs to not save Rivian, but you know what I mean. The R2 has to be the Model 3 for them. So it's got to be a big seller.
And until it's here with a price that you can buy, it's hard to say, oh yeah, well, Rivian said 2 years ago it's going to be a 50,000. Let it. We've all seen before when people announce prices 2 years ahead of time, where it comes in when the actual vehicle is actually available. So, but I think that this is going to be a head-on competitor, and this isn't good news for Rivian in my opinion.
And of course we can't get those vehicles. The R2 is meant to be more of a global vehicle. So yeah, maybe that's a conversation.
Is this going to be built in the US? It's going to be available here. Do we know that? Do we know? I know there's a special version of this for China that they're going to build in China, but and I believe it's in Europe that they're building this. I should know that. I don't see it here in the notes yet, or I can't find it.
Donovan says R2 cheaper, but won't have 500 miles or charge, 200 and something in 10 minutes. Yeah, I get that. Oh, and no, maybe I was being a bit kind to them. Christopher says Rivian R2 will be built on 400 volts, and Matt P says the same as well. So, and Greg says it's built for cost. So, and look, 800 isn't automatically making a vehicle better than 400. It all depends on what it's for and cost, and it's everything. It's the whole, isn't it? But that's surprising. Right. Okay,
it makes it charge better, though. That's
it does.
The big thing,
Yeah, it does. It does. I just, the Chinese have been coming out with amazing spec cars for ages. That in China, this would be big news, but it wouldn't break the bank. And there are cars that charge quicker and go further and stuff. But then I was reading over the holidays. I was reading about one, and they said, we're going to launch our new. It was one of the big Chinese companies launch our new EV, and this time we went cold weather testing in it. And I'm like, what? You didn't cold weather test? Is that how you've got your vehicle programs down to 2 years? Like you just didn't bother to test them? What? So
I mean, I feel like other established automakers do a lot more testing, and just the final shakedown. I feel like China isn't quite there on that level quite yet.
You're not kidding if they're not taking it to the Arctic or something. But and in the presentation earlier as well, they talked a lot about driving performance. Though they really leaned into. Just they never said the word sporty, but just the pleasure of driving. They really say it's going to be tuned really well. It's been a long time coming, and it's real. It's not like a concept or anything. It is real, and it's here. We like it.
Yeah.
Well done, BMW. And they brought the managers out on stage at the end. They all lined up and stuff, and they thanked all the staff. So this is is it a saving the company moment? It's important for them, and it's huge news. So. Good on BMW. Where will it be made? I don't know. Obviously, US cars will get NACs, obviously, but people talk about that in the comments.
Yeah, and also the charge port location people are commenting on.
Right. The charge points.
It has
in the rear, but on the passenger side,
where BMW, for the most part, puts their charge ports. So you will take up 2 spots. It will. It's so far towards the back. There won't be any problem reaching with some cars, even with 2 spots, have trouble. Like my Lightning, I still have to pull up and practically touch the Tesla supercharger, but this won't have a problem taking up 2 spots, and because it's so far back. But but don't forget Tesla is starting to swap cables. The V4s are coming out, and that's probably not the best place to charge this vehicle at anyway, because you're going to charge slower at Tesla superchargers than what you would charge at any of the Electrify America, EV Go, Iona. So it's probably not the best place to charge. And interestingly enough, not to end this yet, but our next discussion is going to be about Tesla superchargers and charging. EVs, a new brand. So we'll get onto that after we're done with this.
Absolutely. Someone mentioned made in Hungary. So 15. Mike, who knows what he's talking about? So it's the factory is in Debrecen. And I know that because I asked our housekeeper earlier today, who is Hungarian. I ran indoors and said, how do I say this name without offending any Hungarian viewers? And she said, it's Debrecen. So that comes direct from a Hungarian as of an hour ago. So whether they're all made in Debrecen in Hungary, and then with tariffs, look, a year is a long time in politics. Like 5 minutes is a long time at the minute, so it's impossible to say. But they can make the vehicle in North America if they need to, but we'll wait and see what tariffs do. It looks like there is going to be a deal between EU, US to do with meeting each other's standards and stuff like that, which will shake out that way. So they might all come from over here.
Man,
boom.
Yeah, I'm loving this. So, when can we buy this, or when can people with $60,000 buy this?
You can order it in the autumn or the fall, and deliveries Europe early next year, US in the summer.
Nice.
Cool. There you go. All
And
right.
that heart, I like that Heart of Joy naming thing as well. And that's basically what like the architecture that Rivian just sold to Volkswagen. This like it's a few modules controlling the what do they call that, zonal architecture.
Yeah.
Basically, I believe that's what this is, but they just call it Heart of Joy. It's the computer controls. I can't say it, but still good branding.
Yeah, no, it's good. I think they've smashed it. Obviously, we have good stuff from Mercedes-Benz, from Germany as well. That new CLA is really special, but this is a very, very popular segment vehicle.
Oops. Yeah. Any other questions we have about this? Oh, here we go. U.S. deliveries middle of 2026.
Yeah,
right?
That's what they said this morning. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I mentioned tariffs,
so-
and now the comments are going into politics. Stop it.
So some
Fine,
tariffs.
reverse.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that was.
I mean,
saw the-
it's
yeah.
it's a consideration with this car, though, right? It is. What I don't even know what the tariff rate is on Europe. I can't keep up. But it's 12% or is it 20%?
So some of the comments say it's going to be 15, but yeah, I don't know.
And it could change anyway between now and then. Who knows? Because the courts are, ruling some of these tariffs like illegal or whatever, and
Okay.
we'll see if he will comply or just redo something to make it work with the courts. Who knows?
Nightmare for the automotive industry. They just need certainty. So, particularly anything from over here. So I have in my notes that after 10 a.m., of which we are now, we can talk about something else. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Right. Okay. And all I've got here is Porsche and Audi have Tesla supercharger access, and that probably says quite a lot. Probably all it needs saying. But no. Tell us more, Tom. Tell us more. What's this all about?
Yeah. So as of today, Porsche and Audi, I'm assuming it's Audi. I don't have 100% confirmation on Audi, but I'm almost certain it's Audi also, has Tesla supercharger access. And I have a video that went live on State of Charge at 10 a.m. So after the podcast, maybe head over and watch that. Basically, everything you need to know about charging your Porsche EV on a Tesla supercharger. So you guys remember back a few weeks ago, maybe 3-4 weeks ago, I told you I had a Taycan here, and I did some range and charge testing. And really, the main reason I had it was to make a video on Porsche and supercharging. So the Taycan and the Macan both have supercharger access now. The way it's going to work, if you have a original Taycan, the J11 versions from when it first came out through 2024 model years, fortunately, you have to buy your own adapter. If you have a J12 Taycan or new Macan, if you already have it, Porsche is going to send you a email to tell you how to get a free adapter. They're going to ship you an adapter. They have their own Porsche branded Electron Pro adapter. It's the new Electron adapter that has a safety certification. So they'll give you one. And if you buy a new vehicle now, it'll come with the car. But the original Taycan owners do have to purchase it. It's $185 from the Porsche online store or from your dealer. You can also obviously use a third-party adapter. Now, Porsche doesn't want you to use them, and we know people have their own mind and do what they want. And at the end of the video, I talk a lot about which ones you should consider if you don't want to use the Porsche adapter. I always tell people use the adapter the company told you to, but if you refuse to, please don't go out and buy one of these cheap adapters online. So many of them are so unsafe. I really only recommend the Electron Vortex, the A to Z, Typhoon Pro, and the new Amphenol, which you can't buy yet. That would have been available now, but with the tariffs, they had to change where they were manufacturing it. So they had to get a new factory in a new company in a new country. So they don't have it ready yet, but they will soon. And that one is also safety certified. Macan EVs won't have a problem. The charge port is in the left rear, like a Tesla vehicle. You just back right in. But Taycans, it's probably the worst vehicle to use a Tesla supercharger because the hood is so long and the charge port is so far back You can see right in this picture, if you're watching, it's, right where it says electric, right at the end of the front fender. You can't even pull straight into the second, like you can't block 2 stalls and pull straight in. The cable won't reach. You've got to block 2 stalls, park sideways, use the Taycan's lift feature to lift the front end up so the front can go over the curb about 5 inches, and then it will reach. You have to park perfectly. I go over it in the video because I went to a bunch of superchargers with it, and none I couldn't reach unless I parked this specific way. But the thing is, the Taycan charge is so good, and the Macan, supercharger should not be your first choice if you have a Taycan or a Macan. And that's what I was alluding to when we were talking about the BMW, the new iX3. It's going to charge so much faster on another brand's 1,000 volt DC fast charger, a 350 kilowatt or 400 kilowatt fast charger. I actually did a charge recording on a supercharger with the Taycan, a 10 to 80%. And I did the same 10 to 80% on an EV Go station. And it was a little more than twice as long on a Tesla supercharger. So, that just, okay, yeah, so Audi's doing it also, which I thought, but I didn't get confirmation from them, so I didn't want to say it here on the podcast. So that's the thing. It's just giving you another port in the storm. But Tesla superchargers should not be your first line of choice if you're in a Macan EV or a Taycan, if your goal is to get out of there as quickly as possible. If you want to stay for an hour because you're on a long road trip and you want to eat a meal, then, have at it with a supercharger. But it's going to take a lot longer. And if you have one of the original Taycans, if you remember, the Taycan originally came out with a 50 kilowatt, 400 volt booster. It was 150 kilowatt was an option. And a lot of people didn't get that. So a lot of the original Taycans only have 50 kilowatt, 400 volt. So if you have a Taycan with only the 50 kilowatt, 400 volt charging, and you go to a Tesla supercharger, it'll take you like an hour to charge from 10 to 80%. So, and I know a lot of people that own Taycans don't even know if they have that option or not, because it was something that they never needed or never used before. So, you'll know pretty quickly if you go to a Tesla supercharger, plug in with your adapter, and you see the vehicle's only taking in 50 kilowatt, you'll be there an hour to go 10 to 80.
It's a good question, actually, Tom. Is there somewhere in the infotainment display that you can, I
don't know.
How do you know? Like, I've never thought about this as a
look
used
at the original
market.
bill of sale. So it's listed on the.
Yeah, I guess so.
It's a line item option, and so. But the one thing I will say, a lot of the dealerships were automatically ordering the cars with that option because they didn't understand. They thought that, and this was back when I was training dealers, so I would go talk to the dealers. They thought it meant the vehicles could charge faster. But at the time, there were no, other than Tesla superchargers, which you couldn't access, there were no 400 volt DC fast chargers in the US that could charge faster than 50 kilowatt. All that the first wave of DC fast chargers in the US were all 50 kilowatt. And then when Electrify America came out and started offering the 350 kilowatt, they were all 1,000 volt stations. So, and then EVgo upped it to them. So there were like 10 stations in the whole country that were 400 volt that could deliver more than 50 kilowatt. So I was telling people, and I made a video talking about this, saying, don't get that option. It's a waste of like $1,000 or whatever, because there's nowhere you could use it. So actually in this video, I apologize to first generation Taycan owners if they took my advice and didn't get the option, because now they wish they had it, and you can't retrofit it. It's not something they can't go back and say, put that, 150 kilowatt DC booster on my car. So anyway, if you have a Taycan or Macan EV, you can go today and you can use Tesla superchargers.
Yeah, that's good news.
Cheddar Kung Pao says, state of charge. Any word on when BMW will get TS access? I'm dying over here.
Yeah,
what's TS access?
Unfortunately, Tesla supercharger.
Right.
So unfortunately, Cheddar Kung Pao. If I knew, I certainly couldn't say it on the podcast. You saw I recorded this Porsche video 3 weeks ago. I'd never get any advanced information from anyone if I spilled it here, just between us. But the fact is, it should be pretty soon. So,
Yeah, it's gotta
but we'll see.
And Shan's Adventures is asking you if you've tested the Porsche on an Iona charger.
I did not.
Okay.
They're really,
It'll be fast.
the closest Iona charger to me here was the one out in Scranton, and I didn't have the car long enough to do everything like that, But I mean, on the 350 kilowatt EV Ghost charger, it charged from 10 to 80% in 16 minutes. So if I was at a 400 kilowatt charger, it might have shaved a minute, maybe a minute off. I mean, you wouldn't realize it if you were, parked and then went inside and got a coffee and went to the restroom and came out. If you just walked a little slower, like that would be the difference in the charging speed. So, it's not going to hold that 400. It's not going to go above what you'd get at the 350 kilowatt station for long.
Shan's Adventure is saying that they were born in Sri Lanka and their DC fast chargers max out at only 30 kilowatts in Sri Lanka right now. Well,
Wow.
Yeah, infrastructure needs to improve, I guess, in lots of places around the world, and that looks like one of them.
Yeah.
Let's have a look.
Yeah.
Do people go on long road trips in Sri Lanka? I don't know. It's all
I don't-
relative.
I've never been
a
there.
lot of, just inner city driving and so forth. I mean, I remember when I back in the day, when I installed my 24 kilowatt DC fast charger at my restaurant, it was like the first CCS DC fast charger installed in the state of New Jersey, public one, back in 2013, I think. I was like amazed that I could charge at 24 kilowatt. I was like, oh my God, this is so fast. So it's all relative.
Right.
Mind.
There's that. Okay, I'll close that down. I was looking at just used Taycan prices, and they're low still, as if they were going to go up. So yeah, it's a good. If you're going to go buy a used EV before the end of September, then Taycan wouldn't qualify, not above 25 grand. But they're still very cheap. Wow.
Jam.
Yeah. Well,
Jam Food
that was the
Tubes
point
just-
about, do you go on road trips?
Yeah.
It can't be that long. Road trip.
Reminding us that Sri Lanka is an island, but it's a sizable island though, if memory serves. Again, I haven't been there yet. Maybe that'll happen sometime soon. I don't know.
We'll turn this podcast into a geography lesson and all go back to school. Right, what should we talk about next? Okay, so Audi unveiled not a new TT, but they certainly weren't afraid of leaning into it to get the headlines and the publicity before saying, this is not a new TT, everybody. But, well, I think there might have been a few nods to it anyway. So the new design language called Audi Concept C. This isn't a concept car. It's called Concept C, but it is a concept car, but it's coming in 2027. So when you show off a car mid-2025 that goes on sale in 27 in 2 years' time, it's not going to look wildly different in terms of where they are in the program of this. They'd be changing it around the edges a little bit and smoothing things out or whatnot. So it's going to look similar. Two-seater, hardtop convertible, a spiritual successor to the TT, but then on stage, they made a point of saying, well, it's sort of halfway between an R8 and a TT. But I owned a TT back in the days of when I had spare money, and it was great, full of style and smiles, and not particularly sporty. It looked it and it felt it. It was, I guess, it had the all-wheel drive system that saved me a few times in the wet and greasy roads. But yeah, it was a great little fun car. Seats in the back were sort of usable for your shopping, and people without legs.
There we go. So there's the TT, the original TT from 1998, the first gen, and that's the in profile with the new. There's not really, they're both two-door coupes, but there's not. I don't know. There's not a whole lot you can say that one derives from the other. I mean, proportions are similar, I guess. Yeah, proportions are very similar, but like shape-wise or motif wise, there's not a lot on the exterior. On the interior, there's some you can see the Audi, the TT influences, but yeah, exterior not so much.
I had a 2000 TT on a W plate over here. Yeah, check out the front of this. So the point of it really is this is what future Audi electric cars are going to look like. This is the beginning of this new style of Audi EVs that we're going to see. It points the way towards what the future cars are going to look like. What do you think?
I know it's starting to grow on me. Like I saw it come out on Tuesday, I believe it came out, and I thought I was looking at the new Jaguar for a moment because it's got a very similar. The Jaguar front end is even more blunt across, so this at least has some shape. But it's a lot at first to take in because it's so different. I feel like from what we're used to, but. So it's been several days, and I'm starting to feel it. Yeah, the front's a little bit of a challenge, more of a challenge than the rest of it. I really like a lot of the back and everything, and I mean, just the fact that it's a two-door coupe, hardtop convertible, actually too. I mean, makes up for a lot. So, yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Tom?
Yeah, I kind of like it. I like you. I think it's grown on me. The first impression was like, yeah, I'm really not loving this. But after I've checked it out the last few days and watched it from different angles, like that angle there, the 3/4 front view, I kind of like it. So, but I'd really like to see in person the front end, how it really, comes out like that. Like I'd really love to see how that, how I feel about that in person. You can't really tell depth as much in the pictures, but love the rear for sure. I think that looks nice. I think it's a good, design overall. Very streamlined. I mean, is that the future of automotive design? Is that where we're going? You look at what Jaguar's doing. Is this kind of like what we're going to see in that next generation of auto design? I don't know.
So Nerd Bikes is saying the flat front is styled after 1930s cars. So besides saying they were, looking at inspired by the TT, they also mentioned the Audi Union Type C, and see if that'll come up on the. That takes. There we go. I mean, that's the Audi Type C. Union Type C from the 30s, and
bit of a stretch to draw a line.
I know. I'm not seeing it. I think in the press release they talk more about the spine of this car.
Yeah,
you can see it does have like a spine, but I'm not really sure how that's defined on the on this. Right?
You know what? I'm all about leaning into heritage and history because if you have got that in your locker, and then you're up against Chinese no-name brands, and I have this joke, semi-regularly with my listeners on my podcast, and hopefully I'm not overdoing it, but I just don't know if really premium European buyers are going to go all in on some of these Chinese names. BYD's top premium one's called Yang Wang, and I don't know if it converts very well. So if you are a German brand and you've got all of this, and that was a picture of an amazing car going around, by the look of it, Monaco, from the boats in the background, you absolutely should lean into it. Just like I've said this week, if you're Volkswagen and you've got Polo, Golf, Passat, Tiguan in your locker, I mean, what are you doing calling cars ID3 and whatnot? I mean, and I'm so pleased they're going back to names at Volkswagen. Right. So you've got to, in some way, it's not just about fighting Tesla anymore, which 10 years ago they weren't taking Tesla seriously, but 5 years ago, then the competition's coming from Tesla. Well, now the competition's coming from China, and if you've got that, you should lean into it. But I'm not sure that's a Auto Union Type C inspired vehicle. But well done, Audi, for trying. We'll give you marks for trying.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. So I pulled up. Let me see if I can add this back. So this is the interiors of the two. The original TT, first generation on the back, and this is the new Audi interior on the bottom there. And you can see there's some similarities. I mean, it's hard to see. Like if you could see the door handles in the top one, you could see there's some similarities there, but also a round steering wheel. We don't see too many round steering wheels anymore. There's always like a flat bottom or a squircle or whatever. And this is like a proper, 3-spoke round steering wheel, which personally I love. Give me a round every day. Like, this is perfect. But the wheel is really funky looking at. See if I got another picture of it here somewhere.
And the screen disappears. I like that. Again, big screens. I'm not sure if big
Oh
screens
yeah,
are
there's no
either.
screen.
It disappears. They said it will. And
Oh,
and
there's
this
going
is
to be one that pops up.
yeah, and this is 2 years away from production. So although we're talking about a concept car, we are taking this a little seriously, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, when they say the screen disappears, I don't know if massive screens are either luxurious or sporty. So if you're making a family car, fine, put a big iPad in it, and then stick YouTube on it. But if you're making a car that's meant to be driven, or you're making a car that you're charging, $500,000 for, because you can, putting a big piece of glass in the middle, I mean, you should be talking about the choice of fabrics and materials and the way it feels, and you should find ways to interact with the car that's not just a big screen. Hopefully I'd like this trend of bigger and bigger screens to disappear at some point, and Audi have done it with this. It gets out of the way.
So all this talk about the TT and all that, the CEO then comes out and says he ruled out using the TT name. It's not going to be a TT. He says the Concept C is not a successor of the TT. It's a different segment to the TT, somewhere exactly in the middle between TT and R8. So if you remember, the R8 was like a kind of like a supercar
It was incredible.
as Audi gets, right? And if I squint my eyes, maybe I can see all that. But yeah, despite like kind of leaning in on the TT and that being a pretty famous, very popular model for them for a few years, I think with the styling changes over the years, they kind of got a little bit of away from the thing that made it kind of unique, and its sales really dropped off. But yeah, this is somewhere in the middle between that and an R8, I guess.
Nice. Let's go to Mark's comments somewhere. Mark! We'll move on.
Oops.
Mark says, Tom, there you go. Tom, have you ever done a deep dive on your home solar EVs and any other electrification you've done? I don't think most folks get how awesome it is, says Mark. And thank you for your contribution. We really appreciate that.
Oh, you're muted. Yep. Okay.
So no, Mark, I really haven't yet. And I really don't know why. I guess because, I've had it so long, and, I got it in 2010. I really didn't start making videos till 2020. So, I already had it for 10 years, and it was kind of like nothing new to me. So I probably should have. But I think at some point in the next a couple of years, I'm probably going to redo my solar system. Now, they'll last for like 30 years. But I frequently get solar companies approach me and say, hey, would you like us to collaborate and maybe, work out a deal where we put our system on your roof, maybe with battery energy storage, and redo your whole system. It's 15 years old now. So at some point, I'm going to take somebody up on that and do like a whole refresh here. And my panels, when I got them 15 years ago, were the best panels you can get. There with the SunPower 225s, the 225 watt panels. And now the panels are like over 400 watt, I think. So I have 39 panels on my roof, and I only have like, just shy of 9 kilowatt. So, if I had the same size system now, I could have like almost 20 kilowatt system and produce a lot more. And, back when I first put it on, the system pretty much covered all of my household use. And even I had one electric car at the time, little mini E. It didn't use much energy, and I charged at work too. So my electric bill was like nothing. But now we've got 4 EVs charging here. I always have cars here on loan. So I probably charge 500 to 800 kilowatt a month just for my cars, and testing and stuff. Maybe 1,000 kilowatt hour a month. And then I have a decent sized house. So now my solar no longer produces all the electricity I need. I still have an electric bill every month. So yeah, at some point I'm going to update that, maybe get some stationary energy solar here. And that might happen sooner than I even realize, or than I planned, because just recently Qmeric, they're my channel sponsor. They did a reorganizing, and they kind of split the company into 2 companies, their commercial division, that does all large scale projects, DC fast chargers and things like that, and other home electrification technologies. And then their residential division, which I'm more aligned with installing home charging or whatever. And that residential division has a partnership now with Energy Sage, which is all in on solar. So they're really trying to bundle everything together: solar, home energy storage, electric car charging, having it all installed at once. So I have a feeling now that they're involved, that we might be doing some interesting projects in the coming years or so. But thanks for the contribution.
Yeah, absolutely.
He says
All
he
right.
would love to see it. So are you thinking about maybe like replacing your solar panels then with upgrading to something new? Would that be super? It would be cheaper than the original installation.
Yeah, at some point I will update it, Dom. I mean, these are 15 years old now. They're still fine. They're still producing.
Yeah, it's still good actually.
Like 95% of what they were when they were new. So, and I mean, they're warranted for 25 years, but people get like 30 years plus out of them. So I still could use these for a super long time. But let's say some other solar company that's involved with Energy Sage approached me and said, look, we want your panels on our roof so you can talk about them in your videos. We'll do a video talking about how you upgraded, and then we'll bring in our partner that does home energy storage. We'll set you up with a nice battery. I would be interested in working with somebody on that. So, we'll see what happens.
Nathan Green says, well, if you're going to do solar, do it now. 30% federal credit ends December 31st.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And Larry Rich says, I don't need to concern himself with the price. Yes and no. I don't know if a collaboration would mean that I'd get it for free, Larry, the panels and the installation, but there'd certainly be a very healthy discount, so we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Plus solar is a lot cheaper than it was 15 years ago when you originally installed it's going to be at least half.
Yeah,
right?
At least half. My system cost, the full retail value was over like $58,000. But then I had a federal tax incentive and a state incentive. The two combined to bring it down to like 38,000, I think I paid out of pocket. But it took in 8 years, I was above water because we have the solar renewable energy credits here that I can resell back to the utilities. They have to have a certain percentage of renewable energy. And back then, when I first got it, those SRECs, they call them, so SRECs, were very valuable. I was selling them for like $800 each, and my system produced like 9 to 10 of them a year. But then after 2 or 3 years, when Governor Christie came in, changed the way the whole SREC system worked, the value went down. And since then, they're like $200 each. So I make like $2,000 a year selling SRECs plus the electricity savings. I'm above water at this point, at least $10,000. So, it was a good move doing it back then in 2010.
I think Greg Boucher says his system was 19,000. I believe he had said earlier that he just had it installed a couple of years ago. I'm not really sure. There's a lot of solar. Oh, he's got 29 panels. Yeah. 10.3 kilowatt system that's 2 years old. Yeah.
Nice.
So
nice system.
And I have 39 panels, and I produce less than your 29 panels. That's how the panels have gotten better in the last 15 years.
And Mark, who first asked that question, he says he went all in with 70 panels.
Wow.
2 kilowatts. Like covers all household use and 3 EVs and probably your neighbor's household too. I would think that's a big array.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You're basically a utility at that point.
Depends where you live, but yeah. All right, let's flick through a few more stories from this week. A recent update from Tesla, which affected some of their cars in an unexpected way. Now using Tesla Vision more to deploy the airbags. They say it allows the seatbelts to pre-tension and the airbags to deploy even sooner before the impact actually happened. Tesla's update notes the feature says, or note for the feature says, and I quote, this upgrade builds upon your vehicle's superior crash protection by now using Tesla Vision to help offer some of the most cutting-edge airbag performance in the event of a frontal crash. Okay. They say that this is for model year 2023, some 2022s onwards. So that's very interesting. That
Model
they're
3,
trying to.
Model Ys. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I don't know, Tom, if you had or Martin, if you've had a chance to think about this for a second. So they're changing, how, how a car gets the information a crash is occurring from like sensors, like actually being impacted and triggering airbags to like vision. So I'm thinking it can pre-tension your seatbelts and start the airbags before the actual impact. So, but man, I
I'm
don't
scared
know.
of
It's a
It
huge
better damn well be right.
right.
It better
And so,
it better not
but this
look at a
is
shadow and think it's a
like, don't you need to have like the government sign off on something like this? I mean, it seems like it's such a fundamental change in how things are done. Like, I don't know. I mean, it's probably fine, and I know people are saying, "Oh, it's going to make it more safe." And if that's the case, that's great because, of course, who's going to be anti-safety, right? But I don't know.
Yeah. We'll wait and see. Wait and see if it works. But it's a good bit of extra safety. Tesla has always done pretty good business, I reckon, actually, in leaning into the safety side of their cars.
But like William Cox mentions, like phantom braking. So we have the vision system in our Teslas for a while, and sometimes, and it's been a while for me, and it's a lot less than it used to be. But occasionally they will not slam on the brakes, but brake very hard for no reason at all while you're going down the highway, and it's just. Or so when I'm driving my car, it has that warning. You're about to hit something. It goes off when I kind of have things in hand. I'm driving the car. I can see the stuff. But sometimes the car is more sensitive than I am, I guess, about what's happening, and so it sends off this like a big alarm that I'm going to hit something when I'm really not. And so it just all makes me think that this. I don't know. I kind of feel like there should be like a third party evaluating this, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Am I too sensitive, Tom?
No, I think you're right. Anyway.
I don't know. I would be concerned. I wouldn't want to be in the first batch of cars that have this technology. You can put it in my car after it's been being used for like 3 or 4 years. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, safety, big thing that they've always. But then again, so I was watching the Volvo presentation recently, and they were talking about car safety. There wasn't about airbags and what have you, but I think all the car makers can certainly do more with new technology. Volvo's thing was when you fill a car full of sensors, and you can look at edge cases, not enough work is being done on when a crash happens, making sure that enough time is given to go through all of the variables to like, what could we have done differently? I guess car makers have to be careful not to admit liability, but if there is a Volvo crash, they were saying the point of having all these sensors is taking the time and the resources to then go away and say, well, could we have designed a car differently? Could our sensors, the airbags, have done something differently to even improve the safety even more? Which it was a nice message. It came in the week when Tesla claimed to have lost a bunch of crash footage, and then that hacker on Twitter called Green the Only found it, and Tesla were like, "Oh yeah, sorry, we thought we'd lost that crash data, but we found it. Oopsie."
That's
I don't know. Yeah,
I kettle of fish right there.
Be careful.
Oh my
be
God.
careful with that. Be careful. So yeah, I think trust around safety is very important, and saying that you've lost safety data and then a hacker being like, no, there it is. I think
Found it.
found it. I mean, I think Tesla. It's been they've got a hard fought reputation for safe cars. Don't throw it away by saying, "Oh, we lost the data." Oh no, there it is again. So yes.
Yeah, in a normal world, I feel like that would trigger like a huge investigation.
Of course it would have done. Yeah. Any other company went, "Oh yeah, we couldn't find the data," and then a hacker comes along and goes, "No, you've got it." Yeah.
Right. So is this like a one-off instance that mistakes were made, or is this like a systemic sort of issue where every time a Tesla is involved in a crash, they have steps to minimize their liability.
Yeah, like,
You know?
that crash data got deleted as well because it turned into a
Right,
court case. So
like
yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I think the public would need to be just reassured that that's not happening because
Yeah.
it happened in this case. It appears to have happened in this case. So it makes me concerned as a as a driver. But
Yeah.
I guess we'll find out eventually what's going on.
Yeah, that was the same court case that Tesla have now filed to have it thrown out. They say it's an unjust award of several hundred million.
Right.
But there we go. So yeah, safety is a big issue for all the car makers. But also, where they go next is the important thing as well. Tesla's master plans over the years. I think one of either Master Plan 1 or 2. Well, Master Plan 1 and 2, they say that Elon wrote himself, and who's to disagree? I mean, they were hardly War and Peace, so the man could have written them himself. He's a bright guy. He hasn't written Master Plan number 4 now. It's much more corporate, let's say that. But numbers 1 and 2, probably Master Plan 2 is maybe where I became very aware of Tesla. This mission-driven company that was out and ready for a fight to improve the world. It really endeared me to Tesla back in the day. Master Plan 3 was only a couple of years ago, and now Master Plan 4 coming out, which, as many people pointed out, it written a little bit like a high school student just found the thesaurus right click on their computer. Or episode of Friends where Joey, also not the smartest tool in the box, also finds the thesaurus and puts because it doesn't really make any sense, but whatever. They call it sustainable abundance. That bit does make sense. But yes, lots of words put together to form sentences, which is like, did anyone proofread this? However, they also put a video out. We won't go through it. You can go read it in your own time if you're a Tesla fan. I'm sure you have already, and probably made a video about it. So lots of Tesla YouTubers making lots of videos saying this is brilliant this week. And who's to disagree with them? This week, they also put a video out talking about the master plan, and again, a lot of these Tesla YouTubers, they spotted something in the background that definitely wasn't put there on purpose, and that was a Cybertruck SUV. Or the Cyber SUV, or the Cyber SUV, whatever we call it. A clay model of Cybertruck styling, but with an SUV body. Well, yeah, I mean, it was there in the video, and they obviously it's there. That's the Cyber Cab. And obviously, it's in the video for people to notice it and to get us all talking about it. And so, yeah, that's the big question is if they do make, because they've got a Cybertruck line for 150,000 vehicles a year, and they've sold 10,000 in the first last 3 months or the first half of the year. I forget what it was. So look, they've got the space. Yeah. Let's say that. I'd personally put the Model YL on sale tomorrow in America. That's a useful vehicle, 3 proper. Although some people say the third row still isn't big enough, but whatever.
That thing's getting like, was it? They were saying 10,000 orders a day, like something crazy in China. Like,
yeah,
like
that's
big
proper,
numbers, like in pre-orders, like
that's a proper bit of engineering. Yeah. Whereas
this is a stretched Model Y.
Whereas making a Cybertruck inspired SUV, I don't know, maybe chalk that one off to experience, Elon, and get back to business. I don't know
if I can find
the master plan. I wish he would have stopped at 1 or 2, but I mean, obviously that's Tesla. They can do whatever they want, but I'd like to see a master plan on how they're going to make the Cybertruck more affordable, so it'll hit even close to the numbers that they were hoping of it. I want to see the master plan on the sub $30,000 car. Nissan's doing it now. Chevrolet's doing it. We need, low cost, more affordable electric vehicles. I want to see the master plan on when the Semi is going to be seen all over the place. That was how long has it been since this Tesla Semi is going to take over the world. Why would you buy any other semi truck? It's going to save your fleets thousands of dollars a month in fuel, and all this. And then how about the master plan for all the people that put 50 grand down on the next generation Roadster 8 or 9 years ago? But those people probably don't even realize they paid $50,000 deposit. They you know, it was like you and I dropping $20. If you had 50 grand to put down on a car, you know, that you had no idea when it was going to come out, you probably don't even realize that 50,000 is nothing to you. But, you know, that's great to look towards the future at what, you know, the company and lay out a plan. But how about addressing the current things that, you know, that need to be addressed in the company? You know, I mean, Tesla still makes great cars. Don't get me wrong. The Y is the new Y is a fantastic car. Full self-driving has progressed amazingly. You know, it's so good at this point now. But there's so many things that Tesla needs to address, I think, you know, and focus on more affordable transportation and, you know, tying up some of those old, the projects that, you know, just seem to have never gotten here. You know, what happened to the Semi? You know, I know they're still there. Some of them are coming up, but for crying out loud, when did that? When was it supposed to really come out wide? You know, widespread, like 2019 or 2020 in that time frame. And the Roadster, you know, I think people they started taking deposits in like 2018, right? For the second gen Roadster.
Mhm.
It's like, you know, is this just all just misdirection? Like, oh, here's our master plan. Don't worry about all that stuff we never fulfilled, and all the broken
Robots.
promises that we've never lived on, you know, but this is what you want to see, you know what I mean? We're future minded. We have a new master plan, you know, and that's fine to have the vision of the future. You need to have a vision of the future, otherwise you'll never get there. But let's talk about some of the things that you guys haven't delivered on. You know, I think people would respect Elon and the company a lot more if they addressed some of that, you know, you know, that's just my take on it.
Yeah, Peter Glass says
Yeah, absolutely.
they're still building the semi factory. It now has a roof. So
Brilliant.
I mean, that's progress.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's such a great product. I mean, the specs they have, and they've been improving it over this time too. Since they've had versions of it rolling on the roads. They've been driving the things, just not mass produced. So the final product should be good, but man, it was good enough already. Several years ago, they could be mass producing and improving, and I don't know. I just want to see them on the road, basically. I mean, trucking is a great place for EVs, I think, especially with the specs that the Tesla Semi had.
Yeah. If you want to cut down on pollution, I mean, that's a great place to go.
Yeah, I feel like Volvo and other companies have electric trucks on the road, and I think they're pretty decent, but I think they need the competition from Tesla to really get to that next level of a range and charging speed, at least what the Tesla Semi is supposed to be able to do. And I really think the other manufacturers kind of need that kick in the backside to kind of up their specs. What they have is okay, but I think there's a Chinese company called Windrose too. That's I think they're going to be selling semi trucks over here too. I have to look into them, but there was a fair amount of buzz about them as well. But I don't know anything about them really yet.
Yeah. Talking. No, I've not seen the news yet. But before we went live, Dom found the news that they've offered the CEO $1 trillion pay package. Obviously, that is over a massive time period. I've not even
10
seen
years.
it. Okay, that's still a lot of money.
So the idea is that Tesla is offering Elon Musk $1 trillion pay package if he hits certain performance marks. So I think the company over 10 years has to increase in value to like $8 or $10 trillion. I forget which. So a whole lot of stuff has to happen before that could be even possible. But still, like, this is just like, I don't know how more ridiculous could you? I don't know. Like, they had the $50 billion or $39 billion? The pay package that kind of got ruled as not legal, or they had to, it got struck down. And this is like 20 times that pay package. Like 20 times 50 billion is $1 trillion. And I don't know, that's like more money than anyone really needs.
Isn't it 200 times?
Or 200? Is it 200?
No idea.
I did the math earlier this morning, actually, but
50
I
times
suck at math.
20
That's a-
would be. Oh no, you're right. You're right. I'm sorry.
It's
sorry,
still
I
a
was thinking
thousand.
5.
It's
Yeah.
still 1,000 billion.
It's a
It's
1,000
1,000
billion.
billions.
It's still 1,000 billion. It's like
1,000 billion.
to have $100 million would be an awful problem to have to get rid of, before you die, to try and spend 100 million,
Yeah.
let alone 1,000 million, let alone 1,000 of those. Well, he says he needs it to go to Mars, and we wish him all the very best with his plans.
Godspeed.
Godspeed. Enjoy it.
1,000 billion.
Enjoy it there, my friend. Enjoy Mars, and good luck. Now, back on planet Earth, where affordable vehicles are the flavor of the month, the Chevy Bolt is coming. A lot of our viewers are very excited about the Chevrolet Bolt EV. A few stories came out this week, actually, about the Bolt. One of them was that without the federal EV incentive, GM's a bit worried about that. Now, I'm not worried at all, by the way, about the long-term direction of electric vehicles, but GM actually, Mary Barrett, I think in particular, has put out some cautious statements saying, look, on the 1st of October, when the tax credit ends the day before, it ain't going to be business as usual. We're going to see a slowdown. You can't disagree with that. But Bloomberg reporting that production will begin in December with a single shift instead of the 2 shift that had been planned. GM's also cutting production of the Cadillac EVs until the automaker can measure the impact. Volkswagen's done the same this week, cutting production of the ID4 in Chattanooga. And also, so we saw some shots this week. It might have been on GM Authority. Somebody stuck a camera into the new Bolt. The dash, by the way, looking all very Equinox. You won't be surprised to hear that's a good thing, like stick shifter and stuff like that. But it had 196 miles on the dash, and they said it had 100% battery charge readout. Now, look, even if you've driven the car out of the factory, it was a test car, and that's a very low amount of miles for. Look, it's 60 miles less than the outgoing Bolt. That car could have been driven spiritedly. The air conditioning could have been on for the last 24 hours, and change the algorithm. But also, like, you drive the car out of the factory gates and it'll say 99%. So for it to be, did it really say 100%? Is it that clear that it's 100% battery? I don't know. I don't think that's not a slam dunk for me.
Down the bottom left corner here, you can see 194
miles.
See that down there?
What? But that's not. Is that 100%? So
I don't know. Who knows? Yeah.
The Bolt is not going to come with less miles than it went with. So a lot was made about this. Or maybe it was Car and Driver, not GM Authority. Sorry, but yeah, a lot was made about this. But I don't think that's too much of a problem. One of our viewers, Barry W, asks Tom, is the Bolt DOA? What? God, I got you written it off very early. Where are you on the new Bolt, Tom?
Yeah, I don't know why you would say that. No, it's not DOA. It's I think all the automakers are rethinking their capacity on EVs. They understand that the fact that the market hasn't, a combination of the market hasn't responded as briskly as to EV adoption as some automakers thought it would. And then combine that with the loss of the federal tax credit, which will obviously hurt sales. So I think it's normal that many of the companies now are saying, okay, we were going to produce, X amount of these. Now we're going to produce, 60% of X amount of these. So we need to retool the lines or rethink the production lines. DOA is, that's a tough, that's a strong statement. They're going to launch it, and it's going to, I think, sell pretty well. But everybody has their own, say, metric on what they consider a successful vehicle. I think you look at my vehicle, my truck, my Ford F-150 Lightning. It hasn't sold nearly to the amount that Ford had expected. But here we are, 3 years later, and it had its best month ever. This past month, I'm pretty sure. I think it was the best month ever. They sold nearly 4,000 of them in August. So
Mach-E had its best month.
The Mach-E had its best. Maybe the Lightning didn't have its best month.
I think the Lightning too. I think the Lightning did too, but I'm not positive.
Yeah, so I mean, just talking about as the Bolt DOA, it might not hit the market, running. It might not hit the market, selling 50,000 units in the first 3 months, but that
Right.
doesn't mean that uh, the sales won't continue to be well over its span and maybe even increase. We might see a cooling off in this next year or so of EV adoption. There's a lot, politically, a lot of political pressure on it and pushing down, say, customer appetite for EVs. But I think once people realize that, more and more people realize that, it's a good option for me, that the Bolt might actually not launch to great fanfare, but it might continue on for many years selling well and even increase in sales like we saw with some of the other electric vehicles. So DOA, absolutely not. It's not going to, it's also at the same time not going to sell nearly as well as it would have if the federal tax credit was still in place, which,
Yeah, true.
when General Motors announced they were bringing back the Bolt, they fully expected it would still be in place. And now, when you're talking about a vehicle that costs under $30,000, that $7,500 is such a bigger percentage than
Mhm.
if you're talking about a $50,000 car, and so that it hurt, that the federal tax credit going away hurt the lower quote price EVs even more than it hurt the EVs at the upper end of that scale, I believe, because so many more people could afford an electric vehicle if with the tax credit it was down in the low 20s, as opposed to people that if you bought a $60,000 EV and it brought it down to 52,000, it's not helping as much.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and it all depends. That vehicles will be all about the monthly pricing anyway. So
Yeah.
what
Right.
GM's finance arms and partners do with the monthlies, that vehicle will live and die on whether you walk into your dealership or however you do it. You do your research online, and sort by cheapest. That's what I do. And if you see Nissan Leaf and new Bolt there at the top of the list, then that's your choice of cheap EVs, I think.
I think without the tax incentive, um, EVs in general will take a bit of a hit, I think, in sales, but then it also will push people who are want an EV, might push their budget down a little bit, right? So instead of buying the Equinox, they're going to buy a Bolt. So I have a feeling that the Bolt sales might not be quite as impacted as some of the other EVs. Um, yeah. So, but it makes sense that GM's going to be cautious and just go with one shift, and then they can bump it up if things work out, like it's selling like cakes or whatever happens.
Yeah.
If they have that capacity there, they can bump it up, and I'm sure they'd be happy
Right.
to do that.
And that's a good news story. It's worse if the vehicle's in production, they're making it, and they're like, oh, we have to cut it down to two shifts because now it's like the vehicle's there, it's available, and well, nobody wants it. Do it now quietly, and while it's in production, if they get surprised and demand outstrips their production, their prediction, that saying, oh, the Bolt's selling so well, we now have to add another shift. That's a positive spin on it. So I think it's a good idea that
Yep.
they chose to do it now, well ahead of production, and then we'll see what happens once it hits the market.
Yeah, no one likes a wait list when you want the product, but you haven't got to go back too far to when they weren't making as many EVs, when supply chains were absolutely broken. And I remember 14 months, 18 months on some Audis to get a new Audi electric vehicle. No one wants to wait a year and a half for a car. I'm not suggesting that we should. But a little bit of a wait, a little bit of exclusivity, a little bit of walking into your dealer wanting the new Bolt and them saying, well, we got them on order, but everybody wants one. That's not a bad thing, as Tom says.
Yeah,
so
not the worst thing, especially for dealers. So dealers can get their full, markup on in that kind of a situation.
Absolutely. Get them in, get them out the door straight away. And absolutely, why have 20 of them lined up on your lot when you create a little bit of eagerness around the vehicle? Right. A couple of other things we'll get to before we skedaddle this week. Porsche say that the Cayenne will be the first model with an optional inductive charging. That'll be an 11 kilowatts AC inductive charging. So you park it above the floor plate. BMW's done some trials of this over years. You could get retrofit, or maybe they sold that to you on some BMWs with a plate that goes on your garage floor. Inductive charging is such a great technology that people don't really realize how good it has become now. It is about as efficient as plugging in, which still blows my mind. How can two metal contactors physically touching each other have the same energy losses as electricity traveling through the air, like some sort of Star Trek teleporter? But it works, and it's really good. The problem I have with, and that's great, and they've got all the motion detection. You haven't got to park it over the plate like you used to have to back in the day, like millimeter perfect. You can be a lot less sort of rough with it, but my take on that is charging your car is largely a solved problem. Inductive charging in taxi ranks, I guess, if cars are pulling forward 6 feet at a time and you're there for 20 minutes or 20 minutes, you can get a full charge, a good charge, rather than a full charge while you're waiting for your next fare outside airports and whatnot. I guess for working vehicles, maybe. It feels like it's cool technology. I'm just not sure the obvious places where it's needed. But
I mean, this is a Porsche Cayenne luxury vehicle. I feel like at this point, at least, this is like a luxury, just a thing, charging thing. So you just pull in. You don't have to plug. You don't have to think about anything. You just pull in your garage and it charges automatically.
No, I like that. Yeah.
If your cat wanders under in there, it turns off. It has the object detection. So it just plugs into the wall like this charging pad. There's no separate wall unit or anything. You just plug this pad in and put it on the floor and just drive over it. Maybe you need to set up a little ping pong ball on a string, so you get to the distance, less.
Only people with small garages have that.
I could really see this being a great technology for public use, like parking lots and even street parking. If we're looking down the road, obviously, but they have to start somewhere. So it's good to see Porsche, developing something like this. We have to start at point A to get to point Z. But for individuals, we all been charging our EVs. We know how easy it is to just grab your connector and plug in your garage. So that I don't really know if that's necessarily a huge pain point, but it is a luxury feature for a luxury brand to just roll in and charge. And if they have it down pat now, where you don't have to be perfectly aligned, I've used BMW's prototype back 10 years ago or whatever at BMW Labs, and I remember there was like a score on the pad in front of you out of 100, like how good you were lined up. So I was pulling in, it was like 70. And then I pulled a little to the right, and it was like 75, 76, 77, 70. Then I went too far and it would start to go down. So I had to get it, and basically the guys were telling me, you got to get it better than 90% or, there's going to be too much charging losses or it just won't work. So that was like the first generation of it. You really had to back up and pull forward and just get it right on for it to work. Right. But if they've ironed that out where, you don't have to be perfect and there's very little charging losses, I'd like to see something like this continue to advance and get better, because there's certainly going to be uses for it. Who knows, somewhere far down the road, you might have builders integrating them into new construction pads. Absolutely. In the floors of parking garages, in even residential garages, if this technology is works and is efficient and everything. But you have to start somewhere. So I'm glad to see that Porsche is coming out with this, and I've already requested permission to get access to one to try it out. So we'll see if that happens some point in the future.
I like your vision of the future where there's a parking lot with just 200 of them. So if they get iced, that's a problem. No, or it's a parking space is a parking space. And I tell you what, you can't cut the cables on a charging pad because it's all buried under the ground.
Right.
So I saw my first ones in ages last week. Outside my kids' swimming pool. I took it where my kids do gymnastics and swimming. They got some new DC fast chargers went in a few months ago, and yeah, I turned up last week, and all the sort of police tape, if you like. It wasn't police tape, but they were all cordoned off, and yeah, all the cables had been cut, and you're like, well done, people, well done. Outside a kids' activity centre. Awesome work. Take a good look at yourselves. That's really fantastic. Well done. So yeah, I hadn't seen a cut cable in. I mean, I don't do many miles anymore because I work from home, but not seen one in a long time. So I was always thinking, is it a big deal? Well, brilliant.
Yeah.
There you go.
They don't say the cost of this. Someone's Donovan Lewis says the cost is too high. Did you not see how much the pad from Porsche costs? I'm looking at the price release, and I'm not seeing any pricing here.
But to me, the cost is immaterial.
Yeah, it's a Cayenne.
It makes no difference what it costs right now. It's the first one. Of course, it's going to be expensive. If you bought the first,
25.
plasma TV back in the 80s or 90s,
Yeah,
$10,000 for a 30-inch TV. That's that. You have to start somewhere. So, if you're buying a Cayenne EV, if it's a few $1,000s, I honestly don't know what it is. If it's $3,000, I'm guessing it's probably in the area of $3,000 or $4,000. But I'll try to get that information from Porsche. It might be more. A lot of people that play in that sandbox, to them, they don't care about the cost. It's just about having the latest tech. And all right, now I see this here. The option in the car is $2,000. The pad is $4,000 or $5,000. So you mean it's $6,000 or $7,000 combined, is what he's saying. That doesn't really surprise me. It's the first. Of course, it's a bit, but it's the first one. What did you think the first one's going to come out at at a reasonable price? Look at the home kits from Ford and General Motors, like what I have, the home integration kit for the having your vehicle back power feed your house. All in, it's like $12,000 with installation, and you could buy a natural gas generator for less than that. So these are the first product of any technology is going to be ridiculously expensive, and Porsche is the brand that can get away with that. If GM was putting this on the Bolt, I don't think too many people would buy it.
I love that.
On the Cayenne, people are going to buy it, guaranteed.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And if our listeners or viewers who've been with us for quite a while will remember, this is like my vision of the future: inductive charging everywhere, no cables to be cut, nothing. It's just clear. Drive into a parking spot, boom, your car starts charging. Not anytime soon, but this is where basically it starts in your garage. AC charging levels, 11 kilowatts at home, and pricey, but in 10 years, I think we can start looking at a bit. We'll start seeing it in. I don't know if 10 years from now we'll see it in the Bolt or not, but it should be getting close. I would think. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
But it's good to see somebody coming out with one that's going to be commercially available. Got to start somewhere, and like I said, Porsche would be the type of luxury premium brand that could get away with it, where many Porsche owners, cost means literally nothing to them. They have, I know people that have like 5 Porsches, and the cost is irrelevant on what it costs for them, because they have, they're so well off. They just want the latest tech, the latest gadget, and that would be a good place to start for Porsche, I think.
Yeah, especially just pull into your garage, get out the car. The same as your wireless key on your phone these days. You just walk away from cars and they lock. Then it just starts charging to itself. That's pretty cool. Nice. All right, look, let's call it a day there. That's all good. That's the end of our show. Hopefully I've done an okay job being back. If you'll have me next week, I would love to be here. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below and get in touch with us over the course of the week. We're on the social media platform of your choice, and we'd love to hear from you. Don't forget, if you like the show, you should give us a thumbs up. If you're watching us on YouTube, you know the deal with subscribing and stuff like that. We can see in the stats. We have regular viewers who aren't subscribed, and that's okay. But if you do, it does help us out and build the podcast. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you again very soon. Hey, Dom, how does the show end again?
Oh, ciao.